Yeah. She. Was used to Costco and he goes out. When they, of course, the abandoned gig, it's straight off, and the kids went in and the blue lips and the blue tongue and whatever color. The frosting, this is like the middle piece of them, they have to get her.
We hear Steve was not even too. He might just be rolling in a little late.
Yeah.
The avoid Steve. Probably for Steve in the event that he comes.
Yeah, we know.
Hey, good evening, everyone. I would like to call the Village of Land and Plan Commission meeting to order for Wednesday, October 15th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. We'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please make sure your phones are on silent. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. Got Grimm here, Batiste here, Janice here, Lake absent, Kay Leitner absent, LeBold
Here.
and Yates is present. Statement of public notice.
Has been posted.
Thank you. Item number 5, discussion and possible approval of Plan Commission meeting minutes from 8/20/25. If you'll recall, we did not have a meeting last month. Do we have any comments or corrections to the meeting minutes?
Second line under item C, land and auto near the end, 1M. On Grimm,
That was my,
you see it?
which one, wait, land and auto,
Land and auto, second line near the end, last two words.
okay.
With that, I make a motion to approve the minutes from 8/20/25.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve with the one correction. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries to approve. Item number 6, citizen comments. Do we have any citizen comments from the public? No. Okay. All right. Again, then, item number 7, discussion and possible action on the approval of the site plan for Land and Tank 20134 West Main Street, Landon, Wisconsin 53046. If you recall, and Ben, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. We didn't feel that we had this properly agendized for the last plan commission meeting to forward an approval of the revised plan of operation for Land and Tank. I know the applicant is here as well. We also did request a copy of the contract for the fence that was to be constructed, and that was provided to us. Although I haven't noticed that that's commenced yet. So, Ben, if you want to.
Yeah, a couple status updates. The property owner Edgar Terrace is here. Thank you for coming. The overhead door has been completed. He submitted a revised plan of operation as requested. Commissioner Green pointed out to me it's got a pretty old date on there. It looks like they just marked up some things on top of that. The plan of operation site plan still lacks the fence and the modification to the berm. However, the applicant did just forward today pictures of, again, the completed door, and they've started construction on the fence now. The applicant's also working on a separate plan of operation revision and submittal for a much larger building expansion. I talked to their architect earlier today and they intend to submit for next month's planning commission meeting. So given that this was not exactly correctly agendized last month, I would defer to you if you feel like some specific action is needed. But any comments I have on the site plan specific itself, I would just expect to get revised when this larger submittal comes through.
Right. And then, I would expect that'll all come through here again at that time then for an approval.
Yeah, so that the forthcoming submittal includes another actionable plan of operation site plan amendment. And that will then supersede any revision that came before it. Therefore, I suggest rather than giving some comments and try to straighten it out now, just roll it into the next submittal.
Sure. Yes, sir.
Is there going to be an updated plan of operation in conjunction with these improvements?
That I do not know.
I would recommend we check into that.
Okay,
I'm hoping that we have a new site plan that's from 2025 and not from 2009. So with that, I'd make a motion that we table this until that new submittal is presented and that they do bring forth a 2025 engineered site plan drawing.
Yep, we have a motion to table. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to table. Any other discussion from the commission? From the applicant, did you have any comments or anything to add?
No.
Okay, all right, thank you. That hearing nothing else then, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries to table. Yeah. Well, thank you. We'll anticipate seeing you again soon then, I guess. Got it. Item number 8, discussion only regarding the conceptual plan for a drive-through convenience store located at 20712 West Main Street. And I'm assuming the applicants are here, no, okay. Ben, do you want to walk us through?
yeah, sure, I can kind of tee this one up. I received a call from the applicant a week and a half or so ago. Expressing some interest to construct a drive-through convenience store only, not gas. That would have some type of restaurant inside, they propose pizza. The applicant indicated that, if I may, he's originally spent some time living in Ohio, and this is like a common thing there. Another state mentioned was Florida, and these are not very prevalent in Wisconsin, if at all. The applicant noted that it thinks that this type of use is not allowable in the city of Milwaukee or Menominee Falls. To try to vet that out and try to figure out why. I actually called the planner over at Menominee Falls to discuss with them. She actually indicated that a proposal like this would be allowable, it just requires a OC5 overlay district. And that overlay district operates very similarly to how Lannon's conditional use permit requirement would apply to this situation. The property being looked at is primarily the Dronin property, but also the vacant one kitty corner to the Dronin property at the same intersection there. The vacant piece that's currently for sale. Both properties are zoned B2 downtown business districts. Drive-through establishments are listed as a conditional use. So a conditional use permit would be required for this. That ultimately would require a public hearing and action by the plan commission, and I believe ultimately the village board as well. Within the packet, you'll notice, I commend the applicant for following through on some specific requests that I had for the packet. Which was some photos of some sample existing establishments. It looks like two different concept renderings were provided, one perhaps a little more simple and one a little fancier or more robust. Along with narrative summary, etc. So I have other comments, but I think it might be appropriate unless Attorney De La Mora has some comments to let the applicant explain their kind of vision for this concept.
I think it's best for me to make comments after I've heard the gentleman.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Ben. I guess what I would do then at this time is, I'll give the applicant an opportunity to make any comments or presentations if you'd like.
Great. Thank you, and I appreciate everyone's time, for allowing me on your agenda. So, as indicated, I, originally was, born and raised in Ohio, 20 years ago, moved here, lived just about 3 miles down the road, in Ogden Falls. And, been in the corporate world for 35 plus years, and, I'm at a point right now where I'm looking for what's next, right? And so my wife and I have been speaking for a couple of years about what is that going to be. And we've been bouncing around a lot of ideas. One of them was, as you see in the packet, this drive-through convenience store. We were driving through Lannon and saw the property for sale and said, you know what, that would be an ideal location in our opinion for that to be situated. So the concept is really, it's a drive-through convenience, which is alcoholic as well as non-alcoholic. The snacks, where it's a full vehicle drive-through, right? So you pull into the vehicle, pull into the building. It's not a side pull-up window. It's pull your entire vehicle in, and an attendant comes over and takes, your order and brings you around the street. You never have to get out of your vehicle. And as I was explaining, I was like, I can't believe it doesn't exist here in Wisconsin because of the weather here, right? Like, I can't imagine who wouldn't want to, on a middle of February, miserable weather, get out of my car and have to walk across a slippery, icy parking lot to get into go shopping. So that's what we would envision. It's primarily it being a drive-through concept where attendants would bring you what you order. Now, there's also, as noted, a plan to put on a pizza sub salad carryout, not an eat-in restaurant. It would be a place where you can order your food to go. And so again, never having to leave your vehicle. Pull in, get your pizza, get your drinks, and continue on through. Now you notice on the second slide where I had some illustrations or photos of examples. Some may view those as being cheesy, junky, not something that maybe you would want representing your town. I want to assure this group that my intention is that this would be a Class A type style of a facility, right? And that's why I have an example later on of what this potentially could look like. Now, I will say that the image that you're looking at is a model of a car wash, but it's the exact same concept, where you pull in through one side and pull out through the other. But instead of all the car washing equipment, it would be coolers and shelving with all of our various products inside. And again, making it a convenient shopping experience as people are heading home in the evening with perhaps dinner for the family, or maybe they're on their way to a Packer game at the friend's house and they just need to take over a case of the favorite beverage with them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so really just looking for your feedback and thoughts, and it's just a concept that would work well with your future vision for Atlanta. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions for the applicant or comments about the proposal?
In your concept, how many cars do you think you would have that would be, inside that building at one time?
Yeah, we would expect the building to be in length of somewhere between 60 to 80 feet. It's standard sedan is around 14 to 15 feet, a pickup truck would be about 18 feet. So we could get up to 4 vehicles at a single time inside the structure.
Okay, based on that, these examples elsewhere.
Yeah.
I see that steel barn, that's in Texas,
Yes,
and these other ones are in North Carolina,
yes,
out on the Outer Banks for 48 years.
correct.
So obviously, weather isn't a factor down there.
No,
So now you're gonna make pizza in this building, and so a person can take a hot pizza?
correct.
So I pull in the building and I order up a pizza.
Mhm.
Linda pulls in the building, she wants a beer. Hector pulls in the building, he wants a soda pop, but they can't leave until I get my pizza.
Yeah, so there would be external parking as well. And you can also have the ability to pre-order your food online, right? So there would be an online app or online website where you can pre-order your food. And then there would be a electronic display board on the outside. When your order is ready, then it's your turn to queue into the building. And if you arrive there early and any traffic that backs up behind it, then we would just ask our customer to pull out, kind of like if you were at any fast food restaurant or your order's not ready, they'll ask you to go queue in a different parking spot. We would have a similar concept.
So I guess the big thing I have is I can understand the concept. I don't understand how this would be on that property, what the entrances, the exits to the roads, because both of them roads, Good Hope and Main Street, are controlled by the county. And they might restrict the entrances there. That's one item, that we only allow so wide, and then now you've got a point on the intersection. That you can't have any headlights that are gonna impede people sitting at the intersection trying to figure out which way to go, so your buildings has to be oriented, so we would need to really see how it's gonna be oriented. So we can understand the concept, and then your lighting, we're not gonna want a bunch of lighting and signage all over the place, cause then it's gonna interfere with the stop and go lights too on that corner. So, I mean, you can see that there's gonna be a lot of difficulty, like the concept, and think about it. But then I got the other ideas. Gee, winter time, hey, it's nice to sit in my car, it's running, idling inside your building. How are you handling the exhaust? That's and every time the door goes open, your workers are freezing or the beer's getting warm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so in terms of the configuration of how the building is set on the property, I've contracted with a reputable architecture firm from Milwaukee, EUA, who's currently working on a schematic plan of how, taking the measurements of the property and how that building would sit and where, making sure all the proper curving and swing, the turn radius to make sure that the vehicle is getting in and out of the vehicle or getting in and out of the building. The traffic would flow well, right? To make sure.
well, but like I said, you gotta watch the headlights, cause a car coming around the
Yeah.
building is gonna scare somebody that's sitting on the intersection, like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
I mean, and then, how are they gonna exit if the roads are backed up with traffic waiting to go up through the stop and go lights?
Right, no, that's an excellent point, so thank you, no taken. As far as the exhaust, that would be a part of the building architecture design plan to make sure that it's well ventilated, much like automotive garage where, you go to your dealership and you pull vehicles in and out to make sure there's proper ventilation in there. And then from weather control, that there are air curtains and or speed doors so that we can, when in those extreme temperatures, that we can make sure that the interior of the building stays adequately, regulated temperature wise. But most of the time I would expect that the doors would be open. And again, I guess I would say, think about it like a car wash where they have attendants that are working just inside the door and, interacting with the customers. They would have to wear upper, jackets and such.
Cause the other thing is, I mean, this is a prime corner in the town, so it's gonna be. It almost has to be like a Taj Mahal look to it too, I mean, don't come with a. Barn from Texas at all. Don't come with your little concept record jack box building, you know. Cause I think people are gonna expect to see something nice.
And your thoughts on the other image, I mean, only for illustrative purposes, but I'd be interested in your thoughts on that.
That I can handle, you know, but,
Nice.
you know, cause it's got a two-story appearance to it, so it's got some. Look to it that, you know, I mean, I don't wanna see a single story, I wanna see something up, even if it's fake on the second, you know. All your. Everything's hidden on the, you know, for 10 feet up above the building.
Got it.
I want to interject just a couple of comments. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did send the development, I'm sorry, the downtown development guideline packet over as a suggestion. EUA or Epstein Ewing Architects, I can just attest they are a very I would call them a prestigious firm. They do a lot of landmark buildings. Commercial, public, otherwise. So that's encouraging for one. I'm just gonna come out with a couple of my personal concerns. If this hasn't been done before, what happens if it's not successful? And that can go a couple of directions, and that is not even who the second owner might be, but who the third owner might be. In looking at some example drive-through convenience stores, the ones that are dilapidated never started as attractive and high end of a building as your premium concept here. But, you know, they kind of devolve into having all kinds of, you know, here's our prices on cartons of cigarettes and this and that. And in other states, they turn into dispensaries and things of that nature. So I guess the question for you to think about is, what's the contingency plan? Like, can Epstein Ewing come up with a concept floor plan that could be converted into some other use that wouldn't lock this building into being a drive-through convenience store? Or, and I wish no ill will on anyone or anything, but let's say this goes bankrupt and someone picks up this building in a foreclosure situation or something like that, and you know, they can just litter the property with signs and banners, and it just starts to become a bit of an issue that would not be expected of like the prominent corner. So it would be great if the concept floor plan even had an option, take it as far as you want to, but can it be converted into a car wash? Or does it, once this building, because I'm just gonna guess, this building, if that's what you're going for, I'm just gonna guess that's in the ballpark of a $2 million building. I don't really know, I don't have a good frame of reference, but, you know, could it turn into a cafe at some point? Could it turn into a bank? Could it turn into something else? Or is it, in the unfortunate circumstances, you invest in this and it's not successful, does it just become a crummier drive-through convenience store, and then a crummier one, and then a crummier one? You know what I mean?
So, just a couple of responses. One, obviously not planning this for failure.
Correct, yeah.
Two, but I understand your concern.
Yeah.
And the building structure is intended to be a simple structure, as in it's on a slab, it's not a basement. And the way it's framed, would be it's in a rectangle, right? So it have the ability to segment it off and create, other component. So I think it would be a simple task to ask the UA to come up with what else could this building be, right?
Mhm.
I have no problem asking them to come up with that concept, sure.
Yeah, and what I mean by take that as far as you want. You could certainly have your architect say, well, it could be, I don't know, is anyone familiar with Bel Air Tacos in Wauwatosa?
Yes,
Show of hands, have you been there?
Mm-hmm.
That used to be an exotic reptile pet store. I used to live close to there, okay? And when they remodeled that into a Bel Air Cantina, I was like, how on earth did they make that work? But you go in there and they made it work. It's actually kind of neat, right? So one end of the spectrum is they could just tell us what kind of uses. Quite frankly, I wouldn't be shocked if EUA did that building. Or you could say, all right, here's the floor plan. Here's a floor plan with a bunch of tables for a cafe. Here's floor plan for a bank. Here's, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't mean to obligate you to spend a bunch of extra money here. Do with that what you will.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Ben brings up some good points here. That is something that we do strive to do, is to think of the long-term impact and the possible outcomes. Just so that we don't end up with a different blighted situation than what we have now. And, when I would also encourage you, when you say just a rectangular structure, personally, I'm not gonna favor just a rectangular box sitting on this lot. I would insist on something more in line with like this premium example, something with some architectural appeal, some architectural differences in the facades and things that are gonna make this visually, aesthetically appealing. That would be at least my hopes for something on that highly visible corner in the village of Landon.
and I kind of agree with Patrick, because there's, a garage across the street, so you don't want to have like two garages on one of your main streets, so, and then the other thing, you have your two locations or potential locations. And I guess the, lot on 20649 Main Street, I have trouble envisioning, how that would work because of, how close it is to the corner, cars getting in and out, and a staging space in case people have to wait outside, for their
Right.
pizza or whatever.
Yeah.
I have difficulty envisioning that would work at that location.
And I do too. But it's there for a couple reasons. One, I need to rely upon the experts at the in civil engineering to determine how much space do I actually need, right? When I look at it, it's hard for me to vision it, but who knows, right? So I need to have those guys tell me, yes, it can work, or no, it can't work. And then there's a differentiation between those properties, not only in size, but cost, and then also one is in the kid, one is not. And so that's part of, my need to understand from the village of Landon of what opportunities, does that kid offer me on that corner versus the other corner? Because we all want that to look premium.
Yeah.
That half acre lot. At one time it had a gas station on there that I think was probably built in the forties or something. And it was like a one bay, one little office. And it was so hard to maneuver into that lot, let alone do anything there. And because you can't do anything with the hill off of Good Hope behind you, that's locked out, so. Don't even think about even trying to put any size building, that building, you might get a 20 by 20 building on that property. And that would be struggling. For any concept.
Kind of like the Starbucks in Menominee Falls, right?
Oh,
The old Taco Bell location, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I can ask, are you proposing to develop the parcel as an owner and then operate the business as an owner operator? Or, okay, so it's not gonna be done by a third party, you're not looking to have somebody develop it and then you would land lease it or something to that effect?
Yeah,
Okay.
owner operated. Yeah.
Do we even have the liquor licenses available?
It's a class A because it's no way, so it doesn't require the class B liquor quota.
Okay.
And is it, would it be, is it a different licensing? Is it considered a drive-through? Do our ordinances allow drive-through liquor sales?
Well,
Well, it's like going into BP down there and buying a six pack. You just have to go inside and get it. Now, I don't know what's gonna be entailed, you know, when we have the next discussion, that would be where we would bring up that part of the discussion is what's gonna be involved. You know, as far as right now is. We're just looking at this concept.
yes,
Hector has some comments and we'll get to you, Ben.
I recommend that you just look at the concept.
Yep.
And not analyze the legal ramifications. When I first learned of this proposal, I thought to myself, gee, I've never seen one of these before. But then I realized I had, and it was in Arizona. And it was a repurposed building that was surrounded by residential homes. And the thing that struck me was that it was so dark and unappealing and had me wondering what's going on there. And I subsequently gathered that what happened was there was a conflict between the residential property owners who came after the development or conversion there. And to appease everybody, they decided to not have too much lighting in the area. So you could have the dark skies, which is very popular, as you may know, in Arizona. One of the concerns that I have is that under Wisconsin law, when a liquor license is issued for a premises, underage individuals can't be there. So you have yourself and the next door neighbor youngster that you're giving the flip, and you decide you're going to be going in and pick up a pizza. Who's gonna monitor the age there if in fact the licensed premises includes the area where they're dispensing of the alcoholic beverage? Underage drinking is a very serious problem, and I can tell you that from my years as a municipal attorney. You know, it's just irresistible. And what's to keep a carload of youngsters with an adult age driver going through? Who's going to police that? More fundamentally, the village ordinance provides for a conditional use permit. But also with regards to this particular district, the ordinance provides that the village under section 78-88 subsection 2C, the general requirements, that there be satisfactory traffic impact. Now, in my experience, dealing with development in various communities, access to a corner lot is a very delicate thing. In fact, that's the reason why many communities have conditional use requirements. Because when gasoline stations started cropping up, convenience was a concern, but also traffic safety was a concern. So I would suggest that if you truly want to pursue these two possibilities, as opposed to going to Menominee Falls, now that there's an appreciation that Menominee Falls, being a bigger community and bigger market, potentially, that you talk with your architect about a traffic study. Because just as a layman observer, the intersection you're talking about It's probably the busiest or the second busiest intersection in the village, because those are the two major roads that I'm familiar with. And complicating this, and we run into this particularly with regards to subdivision developments. When you have intersecting streets, if they come at a 90-degree angle, that's one thing, but here you do not. And so you may have different topography coming into place, so I would urge you to take into consideration the fact that getting a liquor license and trying to have a liquor dispensing business in conjunction with a food dispensing business may create conflicts with regards to juveniles being there. And also with regards to the basic safety concerns for that particular intersection, including impacts, indirect impacts on oncoming drivers, and also on the subdivision, or I should say the condo development that is about to be finished in the near term. The goal of good planning is to allow people to do the most that they can without fostering potential conflict. And being adjacent to a new development might be a source of conflict.
You know, that, when you bring that up, Hector, it's like the Collie property, when that gets divided, or built into a subdivision, you know, say 4 or 5 years, the traffic on Good Hope Street is gonna be higher. So the traffic study, you know, hopefully they take that into account. And the other thing is, like I said, this is Waukesha roads over there. They might wanna have your engineering talk to Waukesha and make sure the highway department can tell them what they can have or can't have for access. And where they can have the access.
You had some comments, Ben?
Yeah, just concerning some of the more legal questions, I will say there is a page in the packet, and without commenting on any of that, because I'm an engineer. Seems at least the applicant's aware of the issues. But I guess, to help filter some of the comments here. This is all a lot of good. These are all great questions that should be expected at the public hearing also. So thinking ahead to a conditional use public hearing. A couple of things to keep in mind is that, for one, an official, let's see, the property is already properly zoned with the baseline district of B2. It's okay. The conditional use is a zoning application. And Hector, correct me if I'm wrong, but that application has to come from the property owner.
Right.
So what we've seen in the past is getting the property under contract and having the property owner co-sign a conditional use application, and going through that process through a due diligence period is one strategy. When we ultimately get to the public hearing, again, Hector, correct me if I'm wrong, but if citizens raise valid concerns and there's not an answer, the public hearing is suspended in some cases.
It can be adjourned depending on the nature of the question, the information. For example, if a citizen came forward and asked, was there any traffic study done
Sure.
to verify? Well, it's not completed yet. The hearing can be adjourned.
Just from what I have heard on the board's other discussions from sitting in this corner for a while is, you know, there's already a strain on emergency services budgets here. So I can imagine that the commission and the citizens would be interested in some type of reasonable commentary on, are there policing issues with facilities like this elsewhere? I'm sure that's a little bit tricky because it's probably a lot different for a dispensary in Ohio than it is for a premium experience on Main Corner here. but nonetheless, it would just be interesting to see what you might come up with, in that regard. I would suggest for a conditional permit that there would be, for one, there's not an official form for a conditional permit, it's just a general rezone application, but it's expected that the conditional use permit itself is drafted and it's very, very specific and particular to the property. So they'll talk about things presumably like traffic, etc. But I would suggest also there be some more restrictive language applied around the signage. So while Lannon allows basically 2 official signs per property, something that would, some type of restriction that would keep the, window signs or the flag signs or whatever, temporary signs, just kind of like under control.
Yep.
It's just having lived in the city of Milwaukee proper for several years, a symptom of a struggling business is suddenly it goes from this nice clean thing to, flashing open signs and we sell fried chicken now, and it just gets littered with signs before the doors are shuttered. So that's just a preference and a suggestion for folks to consider. Ultimately, that'll be up to the commission and the board, but if anyone else has any issues of concern that the applicant should be thinking of.
I just, and I'll let everyone else pipe in again too, but I mean, the main reason that you came here tonight was to get a feel for the sentiment, for the concept as presented by this commission. And I'll just be honest in saying that I don't know that I'm a fan of it, to be honest. I think that at best, it's a difficult road ahead to get this done on this piece of property. That's just my feeling. And I want to be very honest and upfront with you before you invest a lot of time and money into this. I think you've got a very challenging road ahead to get something like this done here in Lannon on that corner. And that's just my opinion. But
I tend to agree with Patrick. I think the across the street where you have multiple parcels. And if maybe you wanted to put something, a little bit up the road where you could have like a U-shaped entrance. If that could, for me, would be more of something that would have a safety issue. It would be easier to enter off of that area as opposed to, I envision cars coming down Main Street and trying to turn left, into your area, and I see that as a problem.
And I do want to add that I very much appreciate your interest in trying to do something here and your effort to try to, improve the use of that corner. So please don't take my comments the wrong way. I'm very appreciative that you brought the concept at least forward and that you're considering Lannon for a new business. Maybe the simple answer is a different business, a different concept. I don't know how married you are to this concept. But there might be an easier path forward for something else.
And if I may ask, is the primary concern traffic safety, or is there another?
Traffic.
Yeah, I think traffic is the big one. I think we've hit on the aesthetics and the visual appearance quite a bit. That would be a concern, but I think for many of us who haven't experienced or frequented one of these establishments, I think in my head at least, I immediately, with our weather that we get here, I just see a slew of logistical concerns, safety concerns. We're gonna have cars coming in there, late at night wanting to buy one more 30 pack of natties and you know, driving through a wall of coolers. You know, that's kind of, and that may not be fair, I admit, but that's where my head goes with this idea.
The other thing is in the wintertime, in that corner where you can get rid of your snow. You know, you gotta watch, you can't go too far to the neighbor next to you, that house. You know, you can't cut all them trees down right up to the lot line and then put snow in there. They expect that person living in that house now all of a sudden to have headlights in their bedroom. You know, buy them out, you know, make the area bigger, I don't know, you know, I mean. That's good, you got a good idea, it's kind of different, it's interesting, you're making us think. Well, we're looking at, you know, the practicality of what can work on that corner, and this is one item that, it's a nice idea, but I think you're gonna have to really look at, will it work?
Yeah, we have very limited opportunities in this village because we're so small. And that is a very prominent one, as we pointed out already. So I think it's our duty on this commission to make sure that we're really vetting what goes in there and making sure that it is, you know, a highest and best use scenario. Yes, sir.
I need to leave because of a family obligation. Feel free to carry on. I do want to comment. I requested that Patrick put on the next agenda item, which was if the plan commission wanted to give any direction about ordinances specific to this. I asked for that before I had time to check in with Menominee Falls. In the event that there would be some kind of template ordinance that kind of governs establishments like this that the plan commission might want to consider. Seeing, you can carry on with the discussion, Hector and I have talked briefly, but just knowing that there's not really a model ordinance out there from Menominee Falls, factor that into your discussion.
Thank you, Ben.
All right,
Thanks, Mickey.
thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, Ben.
Did anybody else have any other commentary or suggestions for the applicant?
Well, I actually love the concept, but I think the property is just a tiny bit too small.
Well, there you go. You got some positive feedback.
Well, like I said earlier, you know, it made me think, you know, it's intriguing idea, I just
Right.
don't know. The practicality of it, I don't wanna, if he can come back and wow me with saying, hey, we can make it work, this is what it looks like. I'd have to be open to it,
Right. Right.
but like I said, you know, some of the wall factors are, you know, like when you look at the ones that. You know, he made here, and I looked them up in North Carolina, and a lot of them are in a shopping district. Some are one entrance exit basically on a road. You know, so they don't, and they're all pointing to the dead end of the property.
Sure.
Or if it is from one road to another road, it's parallel roads, so you can go in one and go out on another road, so.
I think a site plan would be very helpful to, you know, because it's a much bigger lot than it appears to be from the road. Because it's fenced in and hidden, and depending on how a structure got oriented there. You know, there may be opportunities. So,
Yeah, I mean, we would be surprised, I mean, it is an acre and an eighth, a little over. So that's what, 50,000 square feet.
yeah,
That'll help you.
Thank you. I appreciate your honest feedback and candor, and I've taken lots of notes, and I just want to assure you that I'm thinking exactly like you. I would have all the exact same concerns. And what's said on day one and what's said on, 10 years from now, depending upon who you're working with, things change, right? And that's why I like Ben's question about, well, what else could this property be?
yeah,
Right? But, I want that corner to look beautiful. That would be the intent of, abundant, landscaping, green space, to make it look attractive. which, you know, obviously it's currently not that, right? So, we would follow, your guidance and, the facade and making sure that it looks right. And you know, I hear what Ben's saying too, you know, I can't stand going by these stores, and they have all kind of windows, you know, the signage in the windows and neon and everything. It's like, no, that's not what this is intended to be.
Yeah.
It's intended to fit into what you guys envision for the community of plan.
Great.
So thank you.
We appreciate you and your sentiments in that regard then. Well, unless anybody else had any other suggestions or commentary for the applicant, at this time, we'll move on. Okay, well, thank you for your interest in Lannon and your interest in investing in Lannon. We do appreciate that. I assume you'll continue to have discussions with Mr. Wood. Feel free to reach out to myself if you care to.
And likewise, my contact information is in the back of that packet. If anybody has a question or comment, feel free to reach out.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to item number 9 then, which Ben alluded to, which is discussion of possible action regarding ordinance revisions related to drive-through convenience stores. So given that Ben and council have spoken already, I guess what I'll do is turn it over to you, Mr. De La Mora, and
Well, I raised the points that I did simply because I did not devote a whole lot of time to researching the issues that I perceive. And at this particular point, since there is no existing similar facility in the general region, I would suggest that perhaps maybe staff might want to, through the Clerks Association, make contact with other clerks in the state to see if they have an ordinance. I suspect that Wisconsin, despite we enjoy the fact that we enjoy our beer, is also a state that is influenced greatly by the Tavern League Association, and they are very guarded about allowing competition to come into an area where they have a license holder. And I think that that's a contributing factor. I would be happy to take on the assignment, but I think the village's coffers might be better served by just tabling that particular item, given the discussion that we've had.
yeah. Brenda, do you have easy way to put out a request for information like that to
We have a
them?
listserv of all the clerks and
Okay.
municipalities.
And then I would think maybe the League of Wisconsin Municipalities might also be a resource for that as well, possibly.
They might, you have to go through their website for that sort of information.
Okay.
I know there is a drive-through facility in Fond du Lac. It's an old fire hall where they take the garage doors at 9 o'clock, they open the doors. Cars drive in, it's an indoor bank. But it's like going to a bank that has a regular drive-through, but this is a building. People don't get out of their car, but the doors are open all day long, so the cars can drive in, bank, they drive out. But you don't get out of your car, you got the machine right there, or you got the drive-up window, stuff like that. At the end of the day, garage doors go down, bank's closed. But there is a case of, it's a bank,
Mhm.
it's not anybody buying or anything like that, it's fully aired all the time that way.
Well, thank you for the idea for the use of our old fire bays.
The only problem is to make sure that you got a good updated phone system, because I hate that, you should have seen the troubleshooting on that job. But yeah, there is a drive-through bank in Wisconsin, but I've never seeing one of these, so I would say, yeah, I would say the staff would have to kind of like reach out and look for ordinances or conditions that might exist, and then we might have to do is, do we need to go out of state and see if some other state might have something, or we just get creative then and start creating the conditions, if that was to be the case at the time.
Well, let's,
Let the staff look for.
yeah, let's let the staff, let Brenda look into this, see if we can get something to build off of to start with. That can govern this, and then we can, get that in front of the legislative committee. To review and consider, and then, make a recommendation.
So I make a motion that the staff looked into an ordinance or conditions around Wisconsin through their network to see if anything exists.
What about the state municipalities where these other examples that he provided? What about?
I don't know if we wanna go out of state too much because, let's see what Wisconsin has first.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, but I'm just saying if that nothing is there, then, maybe that's
Because then you're starting to look at a bigger cost.
So we'll make that recommendation to staff to do that. Would you like to, consider making your motion to be the table item number 9 until we gather
Do
further
you want to
information?
table it without asking them to do something, or would you have them try to look into it over a period of time, 6 months, 3 months? I don't know.
I'm just trying to make sure we stay with what the agenda item says, so I don't know, Hector.
Yeah.
If you want to provide some guidance here.
Sure, the motion can be to table the matter to allow the village clerk to investigate the existence of other ordinances in Wisconsin and to put it back on the agenda with results, either possible samples or no samples.
Okay.
I make a motion what Hector just said. I learned that from the village board meeting.
Yeah, all right.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Say hello.
Motion carries. Okay, item 10, discussion and possible action on outstanding open items. This is kind of our standing agenda item that we have created for this commission to address possible shortcomings, deficiencies, enforcement issues with different properties. The only two that we have listed on here right now specifically is Lakeshore Burial Vault. I will say that I have had conversations, multiple conversations with the property owner and his sister. And had a very informative and lengthy and interesting tour of their facility. I was hoping to get to this before Ben left. They had submitted some documentation to Ben. They were awaiting his approval. I asked Ben for a status. He admitted that he had fallen into a crack. But indications were to me that they are ready to go. They had gotten the impression from the village that it was best for them to wait until we knew what was happening with Good Hope Road. They've been told, no, good, we're not doing anything for a few years. Go ahead and do what you want to do with the driveway, get it done. Just make sure that everything's up to code and ordinances and all that stuff. So they're gonna move forward with that. They're gonna self-perform the concrete work.
So the plans have been submitted that you know of?
Yes, he has sent information, drawings and plans. I don't know how complete or extensive or formal they are, but they have made a submission to the village engineer.
Okay.
So they indicated they've been wanting to do this for a while.
So again, I guess for Lakeshore Burial Vault, then all we have to do is follow up. And leave them on there one more time as a follow-up to the village engineering,
Yeah,
just so we don't
Yep.
lose them in the,
Yep, I think we can just leave it out there, but I've also been,
so.
like I said, kind of following up with this
So
one.
my notes on Lakeshore Burial Vault then would be plans have been submitted and awaiting engineering.
Yes. Land and Auto, I believe they contacted the village clerk.
Yeah, they came over here, they have to move their dumpster every time garbage comes every week or whenever they get picked up anyway. Asked if it was okay if they just push it behind the building, nobody can see it there. They have to pull it out every time it comes to get emptied anyway, so it would just go back and forth between there, nobody can see it behind the building.
The ordinance says screened, you can see it in the parking lot. So the answer to them would be no, they have to screen it and still pull it out.
Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
How much storage space do they have inside? They could always roll it inside.
That they could.
It would be screened
You bet they
if
could.
they're looking for a low cost solution.
Yeah, I don't. It's not that big of a dumpster that they keep over there. I can't imagine that we're talking about some inordinate expense to put up some simple screening.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of, what are they dumping? I mean, you know, car parts, whatever, but yeah, I mean, why don't they keep it in their building? So
If it's
it would
outside,
be nice if the person would have come over during the meeting.
Mhm.
So we can ask them some of these questions, so maybe we should do is ask them to please attend the next plan commission meeting to address the dumpster.
yeah, I'd say if it's kept outside, screen it, and if they don't wanna put up screening, then roll it inside.
Yeah, I would be supportive of that as well. Because to your point, Mr. Grimm, I mean, it's not gonna be easily or as visible behind the building, but we don't know, you know, what if we ever get rid of that garage back there and we do something back on that back area, then it's gonna
Then you
be,
see it.
it's gonna be right out in plain sight. So,
You know, and you know, if you allow something there,
yep,
what happens over here? What
Yep.
happens over there?
Yep.
Pretty soon everybody's moving, well, I got it behind my garage, or I got, you know, this guy over here, I got it behind my garage, or I got this guy over here, you know, I mean, it's a chase.
yep, no, you're right.
And I mean, you know, 60 days from when we had talked about this has come. So the guy's already on another 30-day grace period, so, you know.
Have you been in communication with them, Brenda? Do you?
I had sent a letter stating that, you know, they needed to screen their property, they needed to get me quotes, whatever. And then they came over and talked to me and I said, I can throw it past the plan commission and see what they have to say.
Okay, well, I think you've gotten your answer.
Got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
I just, you know, what happens if they come back and they say, well, you know, we'll pull it out during the day and roll it back in at night when we close, is that part of the? Does that fulfill the obligation?
no, because then you can see it during the day.
Okay, I'm just. In case they come back with that one.
Yep.
Okay, others, obviously, I made a few notes of some other properties that, and I also provided some handouts, from some other citizen comments. Obviously, the Dronin property that has gotten into bad shape again, I think we have taken, previously all of the, notification steps that were probably necessary. I guess it's, I don't know, does this commission have to make a recommendation to the village board whether or not to, start, fining and things of that nature, or is that just a village board matter?
The last time that I recall the Dronin property being discussed was at the board's level. And I went away with the understanding that the board wanted to take matters into its own hands to see what could be done, job owning or whatever.
Okay,
And so I guess it would not hurt to have the plan commission express its preferences to the board, and that the board have this matter agendized so that it can discuss what's to be done and how they want to approach it.
that was kind of my intent behind bringing it up, so.
Right.
There's another property that I noticed as I was inspecting some of the public works guys' information or duties. On some shouldering work over there, and that is Mr. Pinter's residence, and I handed you all. A printout of a few photographs here, so there's a couple of issues here. My primary concern was the dump truck and the skid steer and everything parked in the driveway. He's well aware that that's not allowed there. And that's more of a probably police citation enforcement issue.
About every 8 to 10 years, this issue comes up with
Yeah.
Mr. Pinter.
No, I know, I've sat in a conference room with him for an hour and a half with his video camera.
I
as he
think
presented
every
all of the
village
evidence.
president from, I say Mr. Geisel there, Mrs. Ravick, Mr. Winters, Mr. have all been through with Mr. Pinter and his truck and
Yeah.
machine. So
Yep.
welcome to this club.
Yep, and yeah, I'm hoping I get a badge for my president sash for that. And then this is as I was driving away, I happened to look back and see the condition of his outbuilding there. I can't imagine the neighbors too thrilled with having to look at that, so.
That's on his property.
Yeah.
So what them stakes are for?
Yeah, I was wondering the same thing.
Those are survey stakes, obviously,
Yeah, maybe the neighbor is,
just wanting to put a fence up.
yeah, maybe,
There's your answer.
right,
I would say that this here should be. This is definitely a housekeeping item type deal. In the residential neighborhoods, aesthetics. So I think this one, we should probably send a letter inviting him to the plan commission meeting to address this building.
And speak to you.
How many hours should we make this meeting?
Yes.
that'll be the second plan commission meeting in 20 years that Mr. Newman does not attend.
That's right.
I might be sick that night too, just a little. I got two coming up.
Yeah, I think that that's an appropriate course of action, initially, so that we can at least verbally communicate our concerns about the condition of the property. From there, then we can, initiate notification and further enforcement action if needed.
Good having a tarp over the roof too. I mean, that's an eyesore. I mean,
So this is the Pintar.
and tarp.
Pinter,
It's
yeah,
on,
he's over on Forest View,
Forest
on the
View.
south side of the road about.
Right orange dump truck.
Trying to think, it's near 20545, but I'm not quite sure what it's 205
The other property that I've received comments about, since you mentioned tarps on the roof, is Mr. Summers. I'm glad you're here. I see that now. I don't know if you've pulled that back to start initiating work or if it's blown off or what, but
I will be putting another tarp on it to dry the inside out the end of this month. If all goes as planned, that roof will be torn off. I'm working with Paul, I'm gonna jack the roof up while it's stripped. And do the other garage at the same time, just to re-roof it.
okay. And just for the record, I've spoken to Mr. Summers about this previously. He indicated that his plan was to do this at the end of summer. And so we're getting there, and he reaffirmed in a recent inquiry of mine that that was the intent, and so. I'll leave it up to the commission if we want to or feel a need to do anything else, but he's here. He knows the status of it, so. Unless anybody else has any comments about that one, I'll move on to my next one.
So you're gonna invite Mr. Pinter?
Yeah.
Okay. Or is this one where the plan commission can ask the building inspector to go write this up? I don't know how that is.
So if we want to go that route, my intent would be, and based on our previous discussions, I would ask the chair of our legislative committee, Mr. Willard, to draft those notices based on some templated letters that we have, and we had discussed that we would self-perform some of these duties. We would list out the specific ordinances that were in violation. Hence the reason to have the legislative committee chair perform the duty of sending those letters.
Are we, then is the plan commission supposed to come up with the ordinance numbers to present?
No, that's, Mr. Willard would do that. I think what we're looking for here, or what I'm looking for here, is an indication on whether or not the plan commission wants to move forward with taking some sort of formal action on a property that is clearly in poor condition.
Give me a second here.
And whether or not I will defer to Hector regarding what level of motions, actions, votes need to be taken for each of these specific properties and moving them forward, or if a simple open discussion like this and a general sentiment is adequate to have other entities begin actions.
Yes, I think a general motion to have the clerk prepare the minutes in more detail with regards to each of these, and the whole plan commission just approving the discussion. Each of the discussions that I think we've had has ended with a proposed action. For example, in Mr. Pinter's case, the legislative committee is to send him a letter to attend, and if he does not attend, the plan commission will consider following up with an enforcement action.
Yep. Another one I have on here is.
I just have one, Mr. Summers, do you have an anticipated completion date that you think this will be done?
Long before the snow flies. The plan is to rip all of the roof decking off. So while it's just the roof structure, while it's like to back it up and add 2 feet to the wall. Just 2x4 16-inch on center, but Paul had questions about attachment and how it's being tied together, because this building was put up previous to the other owners, which was probably sometime previous to 1960.
So we're getting into the wet time of year though, and if there's concerns about keeping that dry, how do you propose?
They got to brace the inside of it. And I don't want all my equipment getting wet.
Right.
But I guess from our standpoint, and I would think if you are talking to somebody and working on a plan, you have some type of a date in mind where you'd like to have it done, and I think.
We were pushing to have it done because this is gonna be a weekend project. One, to rip it apart. And then put the decking on after it's jacked up and it needs Paul's approval.
So we can,
Then it'll be the decking and a new roof.
so we can say by Thanksgiving or November 30th, it'll be completed?
Yes,
Okay,
the sooner this gets done, the sooner I have my woodwork shop.
Okay,
I'm
nice.
fine with
Well,
that.
at least then we can put a date in the minutes, and we've set some sort of
I just
expectation.
wanna be on a roof in December.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't ever wanna be on a roof, regardless of
So then that one, so now, can we take an item on the Pinter property? Will you take that right now? I mean, since that way it'll be on the other listing as, like D, E, or F, like,
Yes, it'll be specific on there.
right, it'd be
Yeah.
specific, so.
Yep.
I would recommend that. Dennis Pinter property at 20577 West Forest View Drive in Lannon. Be sent a letter via the legislation. Committee, addressing the ordinance concern on the shed. Or building or whatever that is.
Um,
That's what you're looking for, Patrick?
yeah, I think, so we're just gonna kind of loosely discuss
Yep.
each of these, then, and we'll have like a general.
But I wanted to fill in the numbers and everything like
Yeah,
that. That's
no,
what I
thank
wanted.
you. I appreciate the added detail. Yes. The other one that I had noted, that was a concern for me was the HM Brandt property.
Which one?
That, well, the one over here that you see every day.
Mhm.
That was supposed to have, there was discussion about, a fence and a gate. That has not happened. There was supposed to be, I think there was talks of crushed asphalt or some sort of, surface improvement, on the back portions that were no longer paved. They still have a temporary sign out there leaning against the telephone pole. I think we're coming up on a couple years that he's been in there. It's probably time to get these things cleaned up. And it was part of his plan of operation, if I'm not mistaken, which we had, I don't know if it was conditionally approved or not. I'd have to go back and look at the minutes, but I do recall that those were part of the discussions and so maybe just a gentle reminder from Mr. Brandt that he had committed to those improvements.
Should I have him, appear at the next meeting?
It probably wouldn't hurt.
And that he would be appearing to address those issues of fencing, gating, signage.
Okay.
And final,
Pavement.
general condition, yeah, of the,
Yeah,
cause it sure looks like a lot more than what we originally approved, but. And then maybe they can answer the question is. This is getting back to the AFW foundry.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
the Brandt is still hauling. This week again, concrete into that facility over there, and the pile, instead of going higher. Is now going easterly wider. It's gonna get to a point where we're gonna have to have engineering or some engineering firm tell us. How many cubic yards he's got in there and how much that topography is gonna change.
right. Well, it also brings up the point, his big. If you recall, we jumped through a bunch of hoops to try to create a limited crushing permit for him. So that he could address the erroneous placement or mistaken placement of concrete material over there that he wanted to crush and put over here. To meet his obligations for the site surface over here. We made it very clear that. The challenge and the problem is that the material was in a different spot than where it was supposed to go and where we had indicated we would allow the crushing permit. That could simply be solved by just dropping the material off in the right place.
Well, now all the stuff that he's got over there. He's gonna have to move it all, to bring the grade in, I mean,
That's,
So-
that's their problem at this point.
so I guess that would be. Yeah, should invite him to the next plan commission meeting to address the fencing, the gate, the signage and. The parking areas.
The other thing is I got, aside from multiple emails from Tony Pavlitich about the condition of some properties in the village. I received another one that's the other handout that I gave you. From another resident who is calling out some of the same areas and conditions. Some of these fall under the purview of the Dronin property. Others are kind of more general condition of like sidewalks and maintenance issues in the green spaces between the sidewalk and the curb. I'm open to suggestions on how we deal with that. As this spans across multiple properties.
The sidewalks are an issue in this town.
Yes,
As you heard from my comments at your village board meeting,
yes,
we do have an ordinance that says the homeowner is responsible for any sidewalk repairs. And the easily can be done is, we don't want homeowners coming through and, well, I'm gonna replace the sidewalk in front of my house, so I'll just have some guy come in for concrete, boom, it's done. What the village probably would have to do is hire a company, repair the sidewalks and put it on these people's tax bills.
do an assessment.
Yes, they have to do a set, so now you're gonna have to get some quoting. I think this was brought up 3-4 years ago, that if they would have done a couple hundred feet here, a couple hundred feet there, after about 4 years, the village would have been caught up. We have the duck pond up by the post office. When it rains, the ducks are in there on the sidewalk, because the sidewalk goes down 3 inches. Duck pond.
You want it puddle plunge? Go up.
Yeah, I mean, so part of the pedestrian and bicycle and safe route to school program is going to ultimately, I think, address
Oh,
and help us deal with some of these, but those are gonna mostly be new sidewalks and
Right.
they aren't gonna address these stretches.
Okay, now, the circle red ones, of the 3 circle red ones. The one on the right and the one on the left, those are trees that overhang. I think we've asked those property owners to cut back their trees. Couple times,
Well, that's Mr. Newman's property, I believe.
that one is, and then Davy Jones has the other one down near there, yeah, Davy Jones has the other one. Now, I don't know why that one is circled by the building, because that sidewalk goes from curb to building.
He was concerned about broken glass and stuff on the sidewalk, is what he indicated.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that could be swept.
That will fall under our other drone and stuff, so
Right.
I know we'll kind of. But we'll get to these, because I also know that in speaking with Jeff earlier in the week. There was some discussion and some planning about moving a bunch of those boulders that are on the Good Hope Road right of way. Getting those off of that right of way, because by ordinance, they're supposed to be at least 5 feet off. So, but it's gonna require some heavy equipment, and it sounded like there was some discussions with Mr. Newman and Dennis and Jeff, and I don't know if you're even aware of this or not, but they had some plans of moving these, but again, I don't know that that's our obligation to do that. As far as I'm concerned, that's the property owner's obligation to do that. He placed them there, presumably.
And Mr. Jones, if it's on his property, he has a skid steer, so he could easily move them back. So that's part of the discussion with Mr. Dronin and that thing too.
Yep. Yeah, I've struggled with this, and maybe Mr. De La Mora can provide a little clarity, and maybe not, but. Who is ultimately responsible for maintaining like those green spaces in between sidewalks and curbs? And, I mean, I know along the edges of the property, that's the property owner clearly, it's on the inside of the sidewalk, but. In the sidewalk itself, weeds growing up through the cracks and in the curbs.
Well, the thing is that. The Waukesha owns. About 15 feet of my front yard. They own the wall. And technically they own the grass. But I have to keep the grass cut all the way to the curb.
Right.
So even if the grass is between the sidewalk and the curb. The homeowner or landlord or the property owner should be maintaining that.
Right.
As far as grass in the sidewalk. It would be nice if the homeowner would take, or the property owner would take something and kill that vegetation. And that would help keep the sidewalks from deteriorating. Yeah, it's like, here's a classic example. Right out the door here,
The
there's
big
weed
bush.
that's hanging out in the street right here.
Mm-hmm.
Who's that property owner?
Us.
Yeah, and when, can that get cut down?
Can it? Yes.
Would it be?
Has it been requested to be removed? Yes. Has it been removed?
No.
No.
Got a weed whacker? So, I mean.
I think it's grown to
So,
the point-
you see what I'm saying is,
I think it's grown to the point it needs more than a weed whacker now. Now you need a chainsaw or something.
It's nice that the one by the window is gone.
Well,
I,
I think volunteers have been maintaining those, Colleen and some other volunteers,
but it's like, at one time, there was that up there by Whispering Ridge, where them houses are, next to that. Old houses, that they weren't cutting down all the way to the ditch, through the ditch area, by the second entrance.
oh, yeah,
And now all of a sudden now the mowing service is now cutting, that looks really nice, I mean, so it's being.
because I was getting on the president over there.
Yeah, because that is,
What are you
and it's, it's like up there on the corner of Custard and Main. The Saltwater property goes all the way out to that corner, he should be maintaining it all the way out to the corner.
Right. Yep.
So, I mean, the list can keep getting longer and longer, because back under our minutes from last month. Under the other, we need to do is. Find out is if a letter was sent to to Miss Daly. On the intentions of the shed and the dumpster.
Oh, yeah, the stuff in the back of that building, I
Right,
think that's
and,
one that we should put on there too.
So that should be, was, Brenda had, was.
Brenda had a leak.
Yeah, she had to leave, but she'll get minutes
Okay.
off of the.
So if she can let us know if she sent that letter. Trustee Lake was supposed to let us know what was happening on Edgewood Drive.
Yep.
And the other thing with McDougall, they've got this fish fry sign hanging on their fence. It's gotta be more than 4 or 5 months now, we don't allow that stuff. And now I see also now AJ Liquor. He has these little plaques stuck in with, all of a sudden, we don't allow that,
Right,
so.
Right.
Soon as we solve one area, another one pops up, so
right.
it's all housekeeping.
Yeah, and I think in probably a lot of those simple cases, we probably just need to inform the property owner that those aren't allowed and they would. Promptly remove them. But-
So then the question becomes is what person in the village makes that talk to?
I nominate you.
I'm not a trustee.
You don't have to be a trustee to talk to somebody, you just can't impose fines and forfeitures.
I could probably go over and talk to AJ Liquor. Yes, I'd probably stop at the McDougall and say, you gotta do something with your fish sign, you can't stay there forever.
Have a cold one while you're in there. Yeah, they got $2 beers on Tuesdays, I think, or something.
Yeah,
There's a lot of steps up and down. I remember walking down Land Road many days out of that place.
There's a side entrance off the parking lot that I think it's fewer steps to get down in, isn't it?
no,
No,
no.
I've
Yeah,
never
I
gone
was
in and out that
entered
way.
there once, no.
Yeah, that's more steps, I think.
That,
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I've never gone in and out. that
Yeah.
way.
The last time I was really in that bar, really tight one, I found my wife. No,
yeah, he did.
No wonder you're scared to go back in.
And my mother told me I'd never find a man in a bar.
Right? Showed her.
So I will talk to AJ Liquor, and I
Thank
will
you,
talk to McDoug out on the sign.
thank you. Those are, I think those are easy, quick ones that we can just, hit off. I think on these other ones, I think we can probably simply have, staff or the legislative committee, notify these property owners, about these conditions and ask them to get them rectified, and we'll see where that goes.
Yep.
So I think we've,
With the sidewalks and the overhanging trees.
Yeah.
Do we want to notify property owners or do we want to, okay,
yeah,
Well,
that's the one I was talking about.
Okay, got it.
that one there, all we have to do is talk to Mr. Newman, because he owns them bushes of trees on that part.
I brought it up once to him already. I got
This house.
a really unfavorable response. I'll just put it that way. But yeah, so we can do it in a more official manner, but I think we've hit on a bunch of them here. These are some low hanging fruit items. I think we got plenty to work on for a little bit. So I would just ask that,
I do have one more item I'd like to address, and I sent a complaint to the village,
the lighting at
land school,
yep.
and is the village taking anything up on that, or?
Admittedly, I don't know that we have.
Now, the picture I sent you, what happened is they had a light over there that. It must have been 30 feet up in the air, and it shined from, you can see it from St. John's parking lot.
The one along the fence line, your back property, the back of your property.
And you could see it all the way into Forest View.
Yep.
And you probably could see it from Timberman Field. They lowered it
I
down
have
to
pictures of
17
it. I
feet,
took 'em all.
Okay,
but they never put any shielding on it. And when that light is on, it just, you can stand on my back porch, not look at the light, look at the back of my house, and you can see a perfect shadow. That's how much it overflows.
It
And
lights
that's,
up the utility room.
and so I'd like to see somehow the plan commission takes up lighting fixtures for land and school, because we just,
I can talk to Jeff Grove,
This
he's
is
the building and
currently-
grounds manager.
but currently, this is at 6:30 this morning, the light. Okay, and this little dim one is the proper light fixture that's supposed to be there. So you can see, when we say that you're not supposed to see the filaments.
Right,
See the filaments. And so they haven't,
okay. Well, I'll talk to Jeff Grove from the district. Have him look at it. All that work that's been done over there should still be under the warranty period, and if they can make some adjustments, they will. He did indicate to me at one point that they tried to keep the lights as low as they could by code. But that might just be maybe some shielding as a simple fix.
well, what it is this fixture. Shouldn't have been there in the first place according to their original drawings.
And weren't they supposed to be coordinating all that with you?
And what we approved in December. They never put in, they put in something that didn't even exist.
Okay.
So, I invite anybody to drive up to Land School parking lot right now.
Yeah.
Probably still lit for another half hour,
Well,
cause in the evening it comes on at about a little after 6 o'clock, just as dusk starts, and it goes till about 9 o'clock.
okay,
Then it starts again in the morning from about 5:30. I mean, there's no reason for that kind of light.
sure. Okay, so, and then I think in earlier discussion, I think, Hector, you had, recommended that we have a general
Yeah,
motion that encompasses all of these items that we had talked
Yes.
about, and all the recommended actions be, moved forward.
yes,
So I make a motion that we take the actions that we recommend, the recommendation of items that we just discussed. As far as sending letters or who needs to do what.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion adjourned.
Motion
Second,
seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Did you get? Aye.
Have a good one, Elizabeth.
You ate?